Bolt House Farms makes a great sort of like protein coffee drink. They have a cappuccino version and a coffee version, and sometimes I'll grab one of those in the morning if I've got an exciting morning or a full day.
Yeah.
This is yerba mate tea.
Okay.
Yerba mate tea.
It's got a little bit of a kick to it.
Very nice. Well, that question all started with Lou Temple. He went on and on about coffee forever, so now we ask everybody.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, we're just going to ask you a few questions today. We know that you are a little busy today, so we don't want to keep you too long. But
Cool. Sure.
So we'll just start right into it.
Okay. So, were you a fan of The Walking Dead before you auditioned for your part?
I was a long-time fan. I read the comics as they were actually about the time they got into the trade forums where they were, grouping them together. A friend of mine turned me onto the comics, and I was instantly hooked. Got to about, issue 48, the famous moment when I think everybody, all the fans of the comic book kind of like, okay, I'm about full up on the horror and the tragedy that I can take, so I took a little break after that point and then jumped back in. I'm still around Alexandria. I have not been able to keep up.
I think we lost him.
Let's see. I think we might have lost you, Daniel. Just hold on. Don't. Yep, there it goes. No, just pause. Don't stop.
Sorry,
Are you still there?
I'm here.
Good deal. I think we lost you somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. It kicked out. It said the connection is not good for the video.
Okay.
I don't know what that could be about. My connection speed should be fine. So maybe my computer's freaking out. I am going to minimize the little window here. It could be my poor old graphics card is just working too hard. Who knows? It's an older laptop.
It's all fine.
So where did you lose me?
You something about you were in the comics in Alexandria and then you couldn't keep up and then I think we lost you.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, in my reading of the comics, I'm still where they're at the sort of the the enclave in Alexandria, and I haven't been able to keep up with the rest of it. I know about issue 100, which I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
spoiler alert. But yeah. So I was a big fan and a fan of the TV show as well. When that came up, especially since it was shooting here in my hometown, it's like, oh yes.
Well, that works out perfectly then.
Yeah, right.
Where were you, and how did you feel when you found out you got the role for the part for Alan?
When I found out that I got the role, I was at work. My other job, I record audiobooks for Audible. I do audiobook narration.
Okay.
And so I was in the middle of recording a book, and my agent called. And so I said to my engineer, I was like, hold on a second, I got to take this call. And the whole office was there, and they all cheered, and they're like, yeah, you got it. Oh, that's great. And so I was, all of a sudden so energized, up and down, bouncing off the walls internally. And I had to, finish the phone call and say, okay, great, I'm ready to pick up, and just keep reading calmly. The thing. And I was able to get home and, celebrate. So
Right.
Very
Hopefully you
cool.
weren't reading something too depressing. You sound all excited. And then the guy came in and killed
I
him.
don't remember at the time what it was.
Yeah, Walking Dead was more important than that book for the day.
Yeah, huge. Well, I wanted to be, as a fan of the comics and the TV show, of course. And I like any actor, I wanted to be on that show. And just getting the audition, it was the first opportunity that I had to audition for the show since it had started shooting here in Atlanta, since they started it. And it was just amazing. It's amazing to actually put it through that process and send it to the producers and the director and have all that, the choices get made, and then find out that I was getting ready to play the role. And it was almost it was a week later that I was on set. And
Wow.
It was only at that time it was only at that time that I actually found out who I was playing, because the audition sides that they send out, you guys might have heard this before if you've spoken to some of the other actors, that they code them. They change the names so that you don't know exactly who you're reading the scene with or necessarily the character that you're playing. So I had auditioned for a character with a completely different name, and it wasn't until I got in there and I got the final script, and I was looking through and realizing that character wasn't there, but there was this character named Alan who was, oh my God, Alan. I realized that I was going to be playing Alan, and I was overjoyed. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Of course, then I had to jump right into Donna dying, and so
that was actually my next
strange dichotomy of like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh, I'm so
upset. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you how that was, that your first episode, you have to act like completely distraught, and you're probably actually excited inside.
Oh yeah, it was intense. It was intense. The very first night that I shot, we were running around in the tombs, and that night I got to meet Robert Kirkman, and so it was countered with all of this the fantastic stuff that was going on. But when it came down to it, all of the other actors that I was working with, the actress playing Donna, everyone was great in really helping create the immediate circumstances that we and I needed in order to get to that place of losing her. So they make it work over there.
That's good. That's always important.
Yeah.
So obviously the show had been on 2 seasons before you joined. I was wondering if it was hard to join. All the cast and crew already know each other. What was it like just hopping right in there with everybody?
They definitely have. I'm sorry, was there something else? Or is that my
No, that was it. That was it.
Sure. They definitely have a family over there.
Yeah.
Everyone's really tight-knit. But they're also incredibly warm and welcoming to a person, every one of them. So generous, so welcoming, and it's kind of funny because I think that they're just excited to have more survivors around.
Yeah.
They spend so much of their time with zombies and themselves in these dark, horrible places, and everyone was coming up and it's like, hey, oh, it's so great to have you on board. Oh, it's going to be great. Oh, I'm hearing such great things about the work that you're doing. We've seen some of the dailies, all that kind of stuff. So everyone was great. And so they made us a part of the family.
That's great to hear.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. While on set, did you bond with anybody in particular?
Chad and I got really close. Now, of course, it's been revealed that our group has ended up in Woodbury at the moment. And so I actually ended up getting pretty close with Jose Pablo Cantillo. He plays Martinez.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So he and I got pretty close, too. Our whole group, our Team Tyrese, we all got really close. Saniqua and Tyler and Chad and myself, because we really were our own little group in terms of the way that the story is being told. We were in the prison and we got kicked out of the prison, so we had to function on our own. So that whole group, we got really tight.
Right. Now that you guys are in Woodbury, what do you think your character is actually thinking about when he was talking about going against Rick's army, so to speak?
What am I thinking about? You mean in the exchange with the governor?
Yes.
We were talking about, if you want help with them and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's exactly as we said. We want to play. I'll speak for myself. For Alan. Alan wants a place to be secure, to be safe, and to make sure that his son is safe.
Right. That
Ben is safe. Having lost Donna is a huge blow because our whole group, as Tyrese explained to Herschel, we had a group of around 25 or so. We had our own group, which is seemingly around the size of Woodbury, certainly larger than the prison group. So we had a group of survivors that we lived with, worked with, and had a safe place with for a long time. So having lost that and lost Donna, I am first and foremost focused on making sure that Ben has a place where he can be safe. And if the price of that is joining Woodbury, and protecting that place, protecting Woodbury, and if they're selling us this bill of goods that the prison is a threat, then we're willing to step up to that. I can't get into anything else about how things might play out, but just explaining that particular scene and where Alan is at, I think he has to think of his family first.
Right.
Definitely.
Which is really what everyone is doing. It's so fun. It's been fun to kind of get. God, I heard that I didn't get to watch The Talking Dead the other night, but I heard Hardwick was giving it to me pretty hard.
Yeah.
and I totally understand. Like, that's how the show works. It's Team Prison all the way. You got your heroes and all that kind of stuff, and but I think it's wonderful what the writers have consistently done. In that you're watching people who, in quote unquote the real world, pre-zombie apocalypse, that they would probably be the nicest people in the world. You wouldn't even think twice about hanging out with them at the pool or at the office or whatever, just chatting over the water cooler like everybody does about Walking Dead. But the extremity of the situation, the fact that we are in the zombie apocalypse, all of a sudden you have normal people who are faced with impossible situations and impossible decisions. And obviously the way that they got it wearing on Rick, it's really taking a toll on Rick, that mantle of leadership. He has to make those hard decisions all the time, and he really clearly doesn't want to anymore. He doesn't want to make decisions in which people die. So anyway, that's something that I've been just trying to pepper that into conversations on Twitter and that kind of stuff. It's like I call him a villain, but there's no convincing fans, And I love the fans, and I totally respect that position, and I'm Team Prison all the way. So no concerns there.
Yeah. It's also hard to convince fans in 140 characters or less.
Exactly. Sure. Right. I know. Yeah. It's that's the role, and it's funny because the way that the scripting is done and the way that the episodes are written, we don't have a whole lot of advance notice about how these things happen for our characters, and so I'm playing Alan, and I'm learning as we're prepping to shoot the scene. It's like, oh, I'm doing this. Okay, great. All right, make this. You got to find out how to make this work. So I totally appreciate that Alan is a tough character to love, but he's coming from, at least as I see it and the way that I had to play it, he's coming from a place of love for Tyrese and for his group and for his son, what remains of his immediate family. So they're all impossible decisions. You can't make decisions that are going to make everybody happy. You can't always make decisions that are going to let everybody live. It's ugly.
Very much so. Now, kind of with protecting your family, do you agree with the way Alan reacted about taking out Carl and Carol?
Well, see, I'm going to maintain my position that taking them out did not necessarily mean killing them.
Okay, yeah.
That's so much of that. It's like, why are you going to kill Carl? No. Of course, nobody believes that Alan could pull it off anyway, and I doubt Alan could pull it off too. I loved so much of the fan reaction is like, man, that guy's in for a rude awakening. Tries to mess with Carl. He's gonna. I tend to agree, man. He's the true little ass kicker right now.
True.
So, yeah. Oh God, I've lost the thread of the question you had asked about. You had asked about that position about taking the prison, about taking out Carl Carroll,
Yes.
taking control. Here's the crazy thing, and I'm going to speak from, just from the point of view of Alan here. Alan was right. He said, the rest of their group is going to come back, and they're going to throw us out on our asses.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened.
Very true. Very true.
Doesn't mean that it was a nice thing necessarily to suggest that they needed to take control of the prison, but if they wanted to secure that place, it appears that's exactly what they needed to do. Now, chances are they would have failed horribly, and if they had been in that process and Rick and Daryl had rode in, they would have just completely taken them out. So I'm grateful that didn't happen, because I'm still on the show.
Right.
But yeah, I think, and I also think that that Tyrese did make a successful appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When he said to Alan, here's the thing that has been going through my head in working on the character and continually. The idea of the trauma of what has gone on, about losing Donna in particular, about being out there in the wild, fighting every day, having to survive, and lack of sleep. Lack of sleep. Alan's not sleeping.
No.
He can't sleep after Donna has died, and he certainly can't sleep after getting kicked out of the prison and they're out in the woods, and he's so worried about Ben. So it just messes with your head, and it affects your decision-making abilities. And so it was good. It was good as kind of dramatic. It was a great moment to have that little face-off there with Tyrese and Sasha at the moment of making that decision. But Tyrese was right in his appeal to our humanity, to my humanity. And I think Alan recognized that. And so he went along with it. And when it came time to have a meeting with Rick, it's like, okay, Tyrese wants to talk, I'll let him talk.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to be able to say something productive right now.
Right.
I'm not in the right mental space to be able to do this. Tyrese probably should talk. So I think there was a real possibility there that had things gone another way, that Alan would have been, and Tyrese and the whole group would have been perfectly happy there at the prison, and would have been great and functioning members of the team. As it happens, excitingly, that wasn't what happened at all. So now we're in a completely different situation, and a completely different situation from what happened in the comic books too. I mean, that was when I was, when I first saw the script for the episode that just aired for 311. It's also like, Tyrese in Woodbury? What?
Yeah.
What is happening? Or Ann Allen, for that matter. So yeah.
Definitely.
Long answer to your question.
It was a good answer.
Put that one down.
So here's more of like a real life question. If the zombie apocalypse did happen, and you had a wife and she did get bit, what do you think you would actually do in that situation?
If it happened exactly as it happened on the show?
Well, no, like, just if your wife, you
I
guys are
lost,
trying to
right.
survive and she got bit. Like, how would you react as a person?
Not well. I'd like to think that I would, be able to conjure up some of the nobility that we really want from the characters on the show,
Right.
In those situations. But yeah, no, I would be despondent.
Yeah. Do you think you would?
And I would be angry. I think I'll tell you what I would probably do. I would be right there with Rick. I would go and I'd spend some time in the tombs, and I would just leave the place out.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, I need to take out some zombies and work this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fans seem angry that Rick is going crazy, but I think it's just the natural thing to do.
It's really interesting, again, compared to the way that they played that in the comics, because he's had those moments in the comics as well, and I think what they're doing on the show is really great, and and bringing it up into the continuity in such a way that it's creating these questions of his ability to lead. And so you've got, Glenn stepping up and feeling like I've got to do something, and Herschel trying to, as much as he can, talk some sense into him. It stands to reason that Rick would be behaving as he does, particularly as he's the whole idea of being tormented by these hallucinations or whatever they are. That would really send you over the edge. So
yes, definitely.
I'm ready for him to come back. I'm ready for him to come back, though. Come on.
You and everybody else.
You can do it.
Definitely.
So, if you could choose one celebrity to become a walker, who would you choose?
A celebrity?
Yep. Anybody.
A walker. You mean like if I were pitching an actual sort of cameo on the show?
Sure. That'd be cool.
Well, I'm going to say, too, I still think that they should get George Romero or Tom Savini on there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's a good one.
Those are two.
I mean, Tom is he does so much of that kind of stuff anyway. He popped up in the Romero films, and he was just in Django Unchained and that kind of thing. It's like, that'd be awesome. I'd love to have, and he's a strong guy. He would be a scary as hell walker.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my, why does this walker still have so much meat on him? That'd be awesome.
But those are good ones. I like them.
Yeah.
Good choices.
No, good.
Do you think Tom Savini would do his own makeup? Like, would he tell Greg and be like, Greg, I can handle this, don't worry.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I bet that he trusts Greg to do it, and the K&B guys, because they're amazing.
Right.
Definitely.
But I would love to see like a special feature of Tom Savini does his own prosthetic applications and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
So what other projects are you currently working on?
I can't go into specific. I can tell you one. I'm actually doing I have a recurring character on a new show that's shooting for BET called Being Mary Jane with Gabrielle Union is the lead on that.
Okay.
So I've gotten to do a little bit of work with her, and the work that I was just doing earlier this week, I was out of town, and I've got a recurring character on a show coming up, which I'll have to wait to actually announce that information.
Okay.
So, other than that, lots of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Auditioning like you do. So
yeah.
Well, good luck to you on that.
Oh, thanks.
Is there any like specific thing that you could talk about that you're auditioning for, or like what kind of directors you're going to be?
It's amazing. So much of the business of auditioning now and getting in front of casting directors and that kind of stuff is self-tape. So you'll actually like go to a taping service and have somebody shoot you on a camera, and they'll email it out.
Okay.
And do the whole thing, or you can shoot it yourself. And along with a lot of these auditions, a majority of them, in fact, come these. You got to sign these non-disclosure agreements. I had to do that with The Walking Dead. I'm still under a non-disclosure. That's why for The Walking Dead, like I cannot talk about anything that may happen in the future.
Yeah,
they're bolting. So that's with a lot of these things that even the process of auditioning, they're like, you can't tell anybody you're auditioning.
Okay.
Good deal.
So sorry.
No,
it's fine. Just thought I'd ask.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of conventions going around. You got a lot of people going to the conventions, and so we were curious: are you going to end up getting on the convention circuit?
I have my very first convention in May. It's the weekend of the 4th.
Okay.
And it's the Carnival of Para Horror.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be up at Niagara Falls.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, cool location.
That's awesome.
But I'm going to be up there. Tyler, who plays Ben, plays my son on the show. He's going to be up there. I don't know who else. They're still working on announcements of who's going to be guests and that kind of stuff. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah.
Going to do some panel discussions and like VIP room kind of chats and things like that.
Yeah.
And the group that's putting it together, it's a para horror. So there's the focus on horror films and horror genre, that kind of thing. But there's also like paranormal investigation. That's a part of it.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
for enthusiasts on that side, and so part of the weekend is actually going on these ghost hunts and visiting haunted houses.
That
Which I'm psyched about. I think it's going to be really cool.
That sounds awesome.
That's going to be fun.
So that's my first. That's going to be, I'm going to do the para horror convention, and then we'll see about the rest. I'm really excited to get into that and to be able to meet fans face to face. I've been trying to do as much as I can, again on Twitter and social media and that kind of stuff, trying to meet people and chat with them and make myself available. And I'm really looking forward to meeting some people face to face.
Yeah,
Definitely.
awesome.
Yeah, we make the convention circuit around every summer, so maybe we'll see you out there sometime.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Good deal.
Well, we just appreciate you taking the time and talking with us today. I think you've answered all our questions. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, or a funny story that may have happened on set that you'd like to share with the fans?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. There were several. Which one? Well, I'll just say this. It was a really cool thing, and actually the crew was kind of excited about it, even though it was a pain. But for the very first introduction, when our group was first introduced, Tyrese and Sasha, Ben and Alan and Donna, and we're out there fighting in the woods. It was raining cats and dogs that day.
Wow.
And it's fascinating how that stuff doesn't quite show up on camera. There's just something about, I don't know, the 24 frames per second or the way that it works, but you can see it a little bit in certain of the scenes, and of course certain of the shots it was better or worse depending. But we were excited, and it made it feel very, very real. The idea of fighting those zombies, running from them, and everything was mud, and we were slipping, and we couldn't get our feet under us, and spinning around. It was a mess.
Wow.
But it was, at least what I was told, it was the first day that they had actually shot something like that. Most of the time when they were shooting their exteriors, they were able to orchestrate it so that they didn't have to do it in the rain, and just the circumstances about that shoot, it just had to get shot. We had to do it.
Yeah.
And so everybody was like, "Yeah, this is going to look really great. Going to be out in the rain." Yeah, it made things a little more difficult than I think everyone had hoped. But I think the end result was great.
Yeah.
And really, it was kind of a crash course. Getting into character for Tyrese and Alan, and for our characters, to really be out there and in the elements and having to work against something that wasn't artificial. It really was having to try and keep our footing under us and kill zombies at the same time. So
right.
There's my story.
Well, that was a good one.
But they'll probably have to wait.
Yeah.
Well, and then one last thing before you go. Could we have you say your name and that you love The Walking Dead news for our website?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Daniel Thomas May. You know me as Alan on The Walking Dead. I love The Walking Dead news website. You guys got to get over there and check it out.
Thank you
man.
so much. That was perfect.
Great.
So, well, you just have a great day in, I think, Atlanta, and we'll enjoy the snow. So,
All right.
And we look forward
Cool.
to
Well, it was
seeing
great chatting with you guys. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad.
you too. And hopefully we'll see you at the conventions, and you'll enjoy your first one in May.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
See you guys again soon.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
see
you.
ya.
Okay, bye.
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 You know what we're going to